Chapter 4673. I'm guessing that Madam Empress has obtained an opportunity in the heaven realm and advanced. Old Lai looked at Yi-Ching Luo as he clicked his tongue and shook his head. Initially when I heard that you were captured, I wasn't worried at all. Anyway, you're a freak. Even if you were captured, you might have advanced or broken through in the process. Cell phone. Yi-Ching Luo. Are you sure it's not because you have Hell Palace's eyes in the heaven realm? Old Lai replied, even if you've seen through it, it's not easy to pretend to be deep. Yi-Ching Luo. This old man was still as amusing as usual. The group of them walked into the Hell Palace. When they reached the Hell Palace, the surroundings were no longer pitch black like before. The surroundings were brightly lit, and tent-like houses were scattered all over the place. What made Yi-Ching Luo speechless was, outside these messy tents, rubbish, food or messy daily necessities were all piled up on the entire street. Yi-Ching Luo could even see worms wriggling nearby. Yi-Ching Luo. Staying in this kind of place, it was no wonder that they looked like unkempt beggars. Had she entered a beggar's den? Yi-Ching Luo's lips twitched. Along the way, there were quite a number of people who shot strange glances at her. Towards this bright and beautiful lady, they expressed their goodwill. Their beggar's den. Pooey, it's Hell Palace. How long had it been since a lady came to them? Not right. It should be. Not a single lady had come. There was no lady who could stay here for a joss stick's time. This young lady was brought here by the Hell Palace's lord. Could it be that she was kidnapped? 10 over unkempt beggars started to flock over. Their faces were filled with curiosity and suspicions towards Yi-Ching Luo. Some of them went up to Old Lai and those few old men behind him, trying to find out about the lady's identity. Those who went up to Old Lai had a fawning smile on their faces. Hell Palace's lord, don't tell me you saw that we've been alone for too long and specially kidnapped a delicate young lady from the outside for us to satisfy our cravings. While saying these lewd words, that person's gaze swept past Yi-Ching Luo from head to toe. His blatant gaze made Yi-Ching Luo frown slightly. A hint of displeasure appeared in his eyes. Lao Lai's face changed, and he punched the man in the face. Get lost. I'll turn anyone who dares to let their imagination run wild and disrespect Madame D. The man was sent flying and fell to the ground, crying out in pain. The other dozens of people were stunned. For a moment, no one dared to tease him anymore. Even those dirty looks in his eyes were all retracted. Old Lai looked at Yi-Ching Luo smilingly. Don't bother about them, they're just a bunch of perverts who hadn't seen a woman for 800 years. Saying that, he led Yi-Ching Luo to the largest, and slightly cleaner tent area. Imperial Madam, please take a rest here. I'll get someone to clean up the place. Old Lai dragged out a wooden stool from the tent and tugged his sleeves as he wiped the stool fiercely before passing it over to Yi-Ching Luo's side. Yi-Ching Luo. Actually, she didn't want to sit. She took a look at the dirty and messy environment in the Hell Palace as she rubbed her forehead. No need to trouble yourself. I'm just here to meet you, to understand the current situation in the Earth domain. I have to rush back now, /HTML/book/43/43766/L. Chapter 4674. Imperial Madam, you're going to intervene in the war between the two realms. An old man who was following behind Old Lai understood the meaning behind Yi-Ching Luo's words. Yi-Ching Luo nodded. After all, in this war, I also have a responsibility. Most importantly, her gaze fell on Old Lai. I don't want Tenebrous Palace to get what they want. If Tenebrous Palace really wants to rule the three realms and become the master of the three realms, I won't be any better off. It was very likely that she would be the first target. Lao Lai and the others fell silent. Yiqing Luo spoke out calmly, "The reason why I'm here is not to persuade you to intervene in this war." Old Lai looked at Yiqing Luo as he pursed his lips tightly. After a long while, he sighed and said, "Forget it, you will find out sooner or later." He said, "I know what you mean. There is enmity between the Palace of Darkness and our Underworld Palace. Last time, they used the Underworld Palace to kill so many people of our Underworld Palace. Logically speaking, when we see the Palace of Darkness, we should kill them." But, Lao Lai rubbed his forehead. There was some worry on his aged face. "It is impossible for the land to win this war. Because they couldn't win. He didn't dare to gamble with the Underworld Palace. The outside world all said that the people from the Underworld Palace were a bunch of lunatics. He was not afraid of death. However, they were not afraid of their own deaths. They didn't want to see their brothers die. Hence, after the representative from the Palace of Gloomy Darkness visited them and made an exchange with them, they considered it for a long time. Or should I decide, he agreed to Palace of Gloomy Darkness request. This battle. The Palace of Gloomy Darkness did not touch them. They would never interfere. He also deliberately forced himself not to care about the war. He listened to the people of Hell Palace talking about their deal with the Palace of Darkness. Yiqing Luo's expression didn't reveal much emotional changes. Everything they said was within her expectations. How many powerhouses are left in the Earth realm? Yiqing Luo understood their actions. If not for the fact that the Palace of Gloomy Darkness's target had always been her. Even if the Palace of Darkness destroyed the world. As long as they didn't provoke her, she couldn't be bothered with them. Lao Lai told him everything he knew in a concise and comprehensive manner. This was because the Heaven Realm, led by the Rin family, had launched an attack on the Land Realm. He had breached the barrier that maintained peace between the two realms. The three main cities of the Earth domain combined into one, with the Qiao family as the leader, to resist them. Although the strength of the Earth realm was not as strong as the Heaven realm. But everyone wanted to protect their home. How could he be willing to give in so easily? Chapter 46-75. Yiqing Luo shook her head, "No." Lao Lai was silent for a while before he continued, "Actually, there is another important reason why we agreed to the Palace of Gloomy Shadows request." He looked at Yiqing Luo as he said word by word, "I'm guessing that the mastermind behind the secluded Darkness Palace is possibly from God Realm. Immortal world. For them. He was a godlike existence. The Earth Realm could hold out against the Heaven Realm for a day or two. However, if the immortal world were to make a move, no matter if it was the Earth Realm or the Heaven Realm, they would not be able to withstand a single move. This was the God Realm. But, anything related to the God Realm was limited to legends. That was because it had been a very, very long time since anyone from the realm of the gods had appeared. After Old Lai said this, he secretly stared at Yiqing Luo's expression. But when he saw Yiqing Luo, she didn't look surprised at all. "You knew about it long ago." Yiqing Luo was indeed not surprised. Guesses about the identity of the person behind the Dark Palace. She and Dmo Xian had already guessed it a few hundred times. Basically, it could be confirmed. They were people from the God Realm. Moreover, it was very likely that it was someone from 10,000 years ago, before the Divine Emperor passed away. You know that the mastermind behind the Nether Palace is from the God Realm, but you definitely don't know that this war is not only because of the mastermind behind the Nether Palace, but also because of a person from the God Realm, right? Old Lai lowered his voice. More than one. That was to say, apart from the people behind the Dark Palace. Were there other people from the divine world who had interfered in this matter? Yiqing Luo's eyes changed slightly. Old Lai chuckled. Then, word by word, he said in an incomparably clear voice, "It can be said that this war is actually a war that the God Realm has tacitly agreed to. This war isn't started by the Palace of Umbra. It started by the God realm. Divine realm. This news made Yiqing Luo's composed expression change slightly. What you mean is, the one who wants to become the master of the three realms is actually God realm. The divine world wanted to unify all the planes. Yes. Lao Lai showed a rare solemn expression. This matter involves more than just the personal grudge between us and the Palace of Darkness, no matter how much they resisted. There was no way they could fight back against the God world. Are you sure these news are true? Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as she asked in a deep voice. I'm not sure. I don't have any actual evidence. Lao Lai shook his head. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath. In her mind, she sorted out all the information that Lao Lai had told her. He suddenly felt a headache. The Palace of Darkness was pushing her too hard. Chapter 4676. If the person behind this is someone from the God realm, you have no way to go against him. Are you still going to go? Old Lai asked again. Yes. Yiqing Luo replied without hesitation. If the person behind this is really related to the God realm, I will skin that God realm alive. Old Lai didn't say another word. After Yiqing Luo left the Hell Palace, she headed straight for the Qiao family. The entire territory had almost turned into a pile of ruins. The flames of war raged in the sky. Blood stained the ground. The howls of the war pets were deafening. It was a horrible sight. Yiqing Luo sat on Chi-Chi's back and soon arrived at the Qiao family. The Qiao family was considered as the only complete mansion in the entire without embroiling city. To be more precise, within a radius of 500 meters around the Qiao family's mansion, everything was still in its original state. 500 meters away, there were the flames of war in the ruins, and smoke rose from all directions. Because the Qiao family's mansion was not far from the battlefield, it could be said that all the forces who participated in the war were resting and replenishing at the Qiao family's mansion. When Yiqing Luo rode on Chi-Chi and landed at the entrance of the Qiao family's mansion, it scared the cultivators stationed there. One by one, they held spears and surrounded Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo looked around and got straight to the point. I want to see the Qiao family's patriarch. The cultivators' faces congealed as they looked at this young lady vigilantly. Who are you? Why do you want to see our city lord? Go tell the Qiao family's patriarch that Di Luo is back. Yiqing Luo explained indifferently. The cultivators looked at each other in dismay, feeling somewhat suspicious. Someone was about to go over to inform. Then, he heard a delicate and cold voice shout, Miss, what kind of place do you think the Qiao family is? Do you think you can see the city lord Qiao whenever you want to? Following that, a lady walked out of the Qiao family's mansion. That lady, even in the midst of the war, was still dressed up exquisitely. Her hair was combed into a complicated and exquisite style with a pearl tassel, swaying as she walked. She was dressed in a long dress, embroidered with exquisite peonies, extremely gorgeous and eye-catching. When they saw that person, the profounders instantly put away their weapons, bowed slightly towards that person, and called out respectfully, Lord Profound Maiden. The woman raised her chin arrogantly, her eyes filled with arrogance. This person is obviously sent by the enemy to disturb the morale of the army. Take him away and kill him. She swept a disdainful glance towards Yiqing Luo's direction. But when his gaze fell onto Yiqing Luo, Yiqing Luo obviously felt the jealousy in the lady's eyes. Yiqing Luo touched her own face in understanding. Her fair fingers rubbed her chin for a while. Chapter 4677. Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change much. She leaped up and lightly jumped down from Chi-Chi's back. Her long and narrow eyes rose slightly. Oh. The external enemy hasn't been settled yet and there's already an internal fight. Is this the current quality of the earth domain? Her fingertips moved. A blazing red fan contrasted with her fair fingers. Looks like we still have to fight. Her pink lips curled slightly as her gaze casually swept towards that lady. If you're hurt anywhere, it's your own responsibility. The young lady's relaxed and smiling expression made that lady's disgust deepened. She was about to respond to Yi Qing Luo's words. Suddenly, she heard an uncertain exclamation from the crowd. Could it be? Could it be that you're that red-robed war god? Di Furen, Yi Qing Luo. Dressed in a red robe, devastatingly beautiful. A red fan, overflowing with fragrance. Wasn't it referring to the young lady in front of them? When the red-robed war god was mentioned, the surrounding profound practitioners instantly burst into an uproar. Each of them stared at Yi Qing Luo, sizing her up, as if they had seen some rare treasure. That gaze made Yi Qing Luo unable to maintain the pretentiousness which she had painstakingly put up. And that lady who was addressed as Mysterious Fairy, when she heard the words red-robed war god, her eyes revealed an obvious disgust. She curled her lips and sneered, now anyone can pretend to be a red-robed war god. Do you think you're a red-robed war god just because you wear a red robe and hold a broken fan? Oh. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. Broken fan. Are you sure? Yi Qing Luo didn't want to pick a fight. After all, she was returning to the earth domain to help them fight against the heaven domain, which was the secluded palace. Fighting in the Qiao residence. Wouldn't that be killing each other? But unfortunately, there had to be a retard who came forward to offer his head. What else could she do? She was in despair. Her glower flame fan was not something to be called a broken fan. Her fingertips suddenly moved. A ray of dazzling light turned into a red flowing light. When it closed in on the woman, it was like a sharp blade, directly brushing past the woman's face. Hiss, the woman didn't have time to react to this sudden attack. The dark ripples directly cut through the woman's face. Viscous blood oozed out. You actually dared to hurt me. The woman covered her face filled with disbelief. Warm blood stained her palm. The woman's eyes were dyed red by the blood. Why are you still standing there? Quickly capture her. She roared furiously at the profound practitioners. However, those profounders weren't as respectful as before. Instead, he stared at Yi Qing Luo in a daze. It's really the red-clothed god of war. It's the red-clothed god of war himself. Hurry up and inform City Lord Qiao that the red-clothed battle god has returned. There is hope for the earth. There is hope for the earth. All of the profound practitioners were shouting red-clothed war god in excitement. The woman stood to the side like a clown. Her face was filled with shame and anger. Just then, a voice came from afar. What's all this noise about? Are you all in a hurry to die? Why are all of you shouting? City Lord Qiao is here. City Lord Qiao, come over quickly, look who's here. A group of cultivators swarmed towards the direction of the voice. Then they pushed City Lord Qiao Jingming in front of Yi Qing Luo. Dear, this chapter has ended, I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 4678. The 34 to 35-year-old man looked much older now. His face was filled with exhaustion. His eyes were bloodshot. Apparently, he hadn't rested for a long time. When that pair of bloodshot eyes fell onto Yi Qing Luo, the young lady's lips curled upwards as she smiled lightly. City Lord Qiao, long time no see. Qiao Jingming went into a daze for a moment. Following that, he almost jumped up as he stared at the young lady in front of him with wide eyes. Imperial Madam. Imperial Madam. You're here. He excitedly rushed to Yi Qing Luo as he sized her up from head to toe, not an impersonator, not a fake. Imperial Madam, why are you back? That look totally didn't look like a dignified and imposing city lord. Congratulations on becoming the lord of the 3 cities. Yi Qing Luo nodded as she smiled. Yes, lord of the 3 cities. The current Earth realm no longer had the distinction of 3 cities. Patriarch Qiao had directly upgraded from Patriarch Qiao to City Lord Qiao. And after the 3 cities merged into one, the name was still without embroiling city. As for the reason, Qiao Jingming was too lazy to think about it, so he directly used the name of the city he was in. City Lord Qiao's face was filled with joy. This rascal will definitely be very excited to see you. Let's go in and meet the big guy. Saying that, City Lord Qiao excitedly pulled Yi Qing Luo as they walked into the Qiao residence. When they passed by that lady who was addressed as Mysterious Maiden, their footsteps paused slightly. That lady was about to open her mouth to complain to City Lord Qiao. But she heard a young lady's clear voice asking, City Lord Qiao, who is this lady? City Lord Qiao glanced at the woman and said, she is the mysterious lady that the Linglong Palace Hall has groomed. She is also the only mysterious lady left in the Linglong Palace Hall. This time, she specially brought the Linglong Palace Hall's forces to participate in the war. After a simple explanation, he continued to pull Yi Qing Luo forward. Don't bother about her, let's go in first and give everyone a surprise. That unimportant tone was like a heavy slap on that lady's face. Linglong Palace. Mysterious Maiden. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly, as she gave that lady a meaningful look. She had thought that the Linglong Palace had been completely destroyed after she had caused a ruckus at the Linglong Palace and exposed the barbaric Blood King's true identity. Who would have thought that the Linglong Palace still existed? However, the barbaric Bloodbone King did not seem to be in charge of the Linglong Palace anymore. Which faction did the Linglong Palace Hall's forces belong to? City Lord Qiao urged anxiously. Yi Qing Luo didn't think any further as she retracted her sizing gaze and followed City Lord Qiao towards the main hall's courtyard. As he walked, he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Come and see who I've brought for you." There were many people standing in the courtyard of the main hall. There were also a few others sitting at a stone table, discussing something. When Yi Qing Luo was pulled in by City Lord Qiao. When he came face to face with a courtyard full of people. In an instant, the entire noisy courtyard fell silent. Qing Luo. Madam Qing Luo. Madam Qing Luo. Shouts after shouts broke the silence. Some of them couldn't help but had red eyes. Even their voices were filled with choking sobs. Madam Qing Luo. Finally, someone couldn't control himself as he dashed towards Yi Qing Luo, hugging her tightly. One person moved. 10 over people swarmed forward. City Lord Qiao and the group of cultivators behind him were all dumbstruck when they saw the scene in front of them. Dear, this chapter has ended, I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 46-79. 10 over young men and young ladies surrounded that red-robed young lady, bawling their eyes out like children. This scene. It really made one unable to relate. When they were on the battlefield, that austere, ruthless and decisive look. At that time, when they saw this group of young men and young ladies, they were still astonished at their maturity. They felt that they totally didn't look like children of this age. Even when they were facing them. They were all extremely mature. But at this very moment, in front of the young lady, they revealed the emotions that they should have at their age. As though they had finally found the fulcrum that they had been working hard on all along. That red-robed young lady was the fulcrum of this group of young men and young ladies. City Lord Qiao and the cultivators behind him exchanged glances. Then, he quietly retreated. This rare warmth was love to them. Yi-Ching Luo's current feelings were complicated and touched. He looked at the familiar faces in front of him, which had obviously grown up. His heart felt as if it was being pressed down by something very warm. It was so warm that her eyes turned red. In her ears, she could hear their voices calling out her name. Yi-Ching Luo's lips slowly curled upwards. His gaze slowly swept across the familiar faces in front of him. A smile blossomed on her lips. It was filled with tears, but it was extremely beautiful. Brothers of the World Group, I'm returning to the group. The young lady's clear voice paused after every word, sonorous and forceful. It made everyone's eyes turn red again. After that, one by one, they stood up. All of them were in line with Yi-Ching Luo's training in the past, standing in a straight line. Then one by one, they opened their mouths. The World Group, Bei Ming Lu Lu. The World Group, Ni Ruo Pan. The World Group, Dan Bai Shi. The World Group. The World Group. One by one, the young men and young ladies started to report their names. Their voices were loud and clear, filled with passion. Until the last person reported. The person sitting by the stone table took small steps as she walked step by step to the front of the group. Pink dress, expressionless, lowly raised her head. The little person used a flat voice as she said word by word, the World Group Mo Yuing, the World Group Qiao Jin, the World Group Yan Xiao Yi. She paused for a moment and continued, the World Group Leader, Long Yun Zhan. Return to the team. The last two words came out of her mouth. The eyes of the dozens of boys and girls in front of him reddened again. Yi-Ching Luo slowly walked towards them and stood beside Mo Yuing. He turned around and looked ahead. There was a hint of emotion in the girl's voice as she sobbed. The World Group, Yi-Ching Luo. Everyone has returned. Everyone's throats tightened and tears streamed down their cheeks. For a moment, they were speechless. Chapter 4680. The young lady's smile was peerless, so bright that nothing could compare. Her voice was clear and filled with power, brothers, I'm back. As though everyone had returned to the past. That period when they were still in devil class, fighting together. Proving themselves together. Taking down the glory that belonged to them together. Building a mercenary group that belonged to them together. Growing together on the path of the strong. Together. There were too many shared memories. As though, it seemed like it had happened yesterday. Although they looked tired, they were full of energy and had clearly matured. Yi-Ching Luo's heart was filled with emotions. Everyone, for her, risked their lives to come to the Earth realm. For her, they participated in the battle between the Earth realm and Heaven realm. The group of them huddled together, feeling touched. After a long time. Then they regained their senses. Yi-Ching Luo pulled the group of people and sat down directly in the courtyard. She surveyed the surroundings. Devil classes students, almost all of them were here. There were also more than a dozen strangers. Bai Ming Lu immediately explained, after you left, there were quite a number of people who wanted to join the world group. After the group leader and everyone's screening, we recruited less than 50 new members. A portion of the members had just gone to the battlefield. These members are back to rest. Even though they had never met before. But it was because of the relationship between the entire group. They felt touched. Where's group leader? And why didn't Ziqing and the rest come to look for us? Mo Yuing grabbed Yi-Ching Luo's hand and shook it, blinking expressionlessly as she asked. Mentioning group leader and the others. Everyone quietened down. Didn't group leader and vice group leader come to look for Madame Ching Luo earlier? Why didn't they follow Madame Ching Luo? Yi-Ching Luo's smile suddenly congealed. The expression on her face slowly sunk. Everyone saw this and their hearts tightened as their eyes filled with panic. What's the matter? Is it group leader and the rest? Bai Ming Lu's face turned slightly pale as her tone became cautious when she asked. The joy of their reunion just now was washed away in an instant. Yiqing Luo shook her head. I asked Jin Zi and Xiao Yi to help out with some matters. They might be back within these 2 days. She paused for a moment. Her pink lips were a little dry as she pursed them before continuing, but... Jean, Commander, what's wrong? Everyone only heard the first 2 words and hurriedly interrupted. Bai Ming Lu grabbed Yiqing Luo's arm. Everyone's breathing stagnated, and their fingers unconsciously tightened. Don't be anxious. Yiqing Luo gently patted Bai Ming Lu's hand. Jean, he's fine for now, at least. For now he's fine. Everyone's face turned pale. How could they not be worried? Chapter 4681. Everyone was silent for a long time. For a long time, he was unable to regain his senses from Yiqing Luo's words. After a long time, Ying slowly raised her head. Her eyes looked at Yiqing Luo without blinking, as she asked in a flat voice, the current group leader, if she saw all of us, would she also take action? Yiqing Luo remained silent for a moment, not wanting to lie to them. Yes. If she lied to them to make them feel better. At that time, if they really fought against Long Yunjian, it was easy for Long Yunjian to injure him. If Long Yunjian had really hurt any of them, not only was the world group injured, Long Yunjian probably wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Everyone's faces froze, and after a long while, they slowly lowered their heads. Their faces were filled with an indescribable sense of loss. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a smile as her voice was gentle. At least, what we can confirm now is that before the Palace of Seclusion's motive is achieved, Jean will be fine. Then, he said word by word confidently, I will have Jean return to our side once more. I will have the Jean that belongs to us, return once more. Everyone's eyes narrowed slightly. Following that, his unwavering gaze looked towards Yiqing Luo. As long as it was something that Madame Qing Luo said, then it will definitely come true. Because Madame Qing Luo would definitely work hard for what she had said. They believed it. The sorrowful atmosphere caused by Long Yunjian gradually warmed up. Dozens of people were telling each other about the recent events. The entire courtyard was bustling with noise and enthusiasm. He didn't notice either. Outside the courtyard stood a petite figure. The woman in the light blue dress clenched her fists tightly as she glared at the joyous scene in the courtyard. His face turned red. She was embarrassed and annoyed. Yiqing Luo's appearance had turned her into a fool, a joke. It was as though Yiqing Luo had given her a tight slap on her face. It was very embarrassing. Initially when he first met Yiqing Luo, it was because he was jealous of her gorgeous looks. But now, he hated her from the bottom of his heart. He couldn't wait to slash Yiqing Luo's hypocritical face. What red-clothed god of war? At the end of the day, she was just a woman who relied on Dizun to become famous. Pretending to be a god of war. Especially, when she looked at the courtyard, she saw the young men and women who were clearly outsiders, and even treated her coldly when she took the initiative to befriend them. At this moment, he actually respected and valued her as if she was a god. There was an indescribable twist in her heart. Jealousy disfigured her. At night, with Yiqing Luo's arrival, City Lord Qiao organized a simple banquet in order to let the various powerhouses in the Earth domain get to know Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo actually rejected it. She was here to fight. What banquet? However, City Lord Qiao was very insistent. After all, the moment Yiqing Luo arrived, she would be the main force of this battle. The people of the major forces had to recognize her. She also had to remember the big shots of the major forces, to prevent any accidents from happening. Although it was called a banquet, it was actually just a gathering of the big shots of the factions that were still stationed in the land domain to have dinner together. Dinner was a bowl of cold water and 2 steamed buns. Not even a mouthful of porridge. Now that the war was going on, resources were being consumed very quickly. Naturally, no one would waste it. Yiqing Luo had just reached the place where the banquet was held, which was the main hall of the Qiao residence. She saw a gorgeously dressed mysterious maiden standing at the entrance, raising her head in anticipation with a bashful look, as though she was waiting for something. When she saw Yiqing Luo, her expression sunk slightly as she shifted her gaze away, as though she didn't want to see Yiqing Luo. Chapter 4682. She didn't want to create any trouble. Yiqing Luo naturally couldn't be bothered about it. She was feeling happy about her reunion with her brothers. She didn't want to spoil her own mood because of an unnecessary person. But the truth was, Yiqing Luo didn't want to bother about it. But she couldn't avoid it. Just as Yiqing Luo walked past Mysterious Fairy and was about to enter the main hall, she heard the lady beside her exclaiming in surprise, "Brother Yin, you're here." The lady's eyes shone brightly as the blush on her face deepened. Immediately after, she dashed over to that side. This dash collided into Yiqing Luo. The force was extremely strong. It made Yiqing Luo's wrist hurt a little. She furrowed her brows and pushed him away impatiently. The lady's body flew out directly as she fell heavily onto the ground. Immediately after, she cried out in pain as she held onto her chest and slowly propped herself up with an extremely painful look. "What's going on? What's going on?" In the main hall, various powerhouses were still discussing about Yiqing Luo's return. Suddenly hearing the commotion outside, all of them thought that it was an enemy attack as they flew out. "Miss Mysterious Fairy, what's wrong with you? Who hurt Miss Mysterious Fairy?" Some powerhouses went up to support the lady. The lady's beautiful eyes blinked as she pointed at Yiqing Luo in an aggrieved manner. It's her. I don't know why she suddenly made a move on me." Everyone looked towards the direction where the lady was pointing. What entered their eyes was an alluring young lady dressed in a red robe. Instantly, all the hands which were going to support the lady stopped. The people from the various factions looked at the woman with complicated expressions before looking at the calm and composed young girl. Following that, they slowly retracted their hands and took 2 steps away from the lady. That action was obviously to draw a line with her. The lady's face turned red as tears started to flow. "What I said is true. Brother Yin can testify." Big Brother Yin saw it clearly just now. Everyone's expressions turned even more awkward. The lady looked at Yiqing Luo in grief as she put on an extremely aggrieved look. "Brother Yin, help me speak up, was she the one who pushed me?" Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto the man not too far away. The most eye-catching thing was still the man's long silver hair. He was dressed in black and had silver hair. He was extraordinarily handsome. That face was as stunning as ever. Whereas the man who was being stared at by the lady, who looked as though he was begging for love, didn't even bother to take a look at that lady as his gaze was fixed on Yiqing Luo. Soon after, his thin lips twitched, and his voice was slightly gentle. "Long time no see, Ah Luo." Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly as she waved at him. "Eldest young Master Qiao, long time no see." The two looked at each other and smiled. That smile was like a piercing needle in the woman's eyes. The aggrieved look on her face disappeared. Originally, he just wanted to make use of Yiqing Luo, to injure her. That way, Qiao Yin would be able to take her to the hospital. She could also make use of her charm to make Qiao Yin fall in love with her. At the same time, he could also let the people of the major forces know. This bitch is just a good-for-nothing who relies on his majesty. But, no matter how much the woman planned in her heart, she couldn't accept the truth in front of her. Brother Ian knew that bitch. Moreover, their relationship wasn't bad. Her brother Ian was extremely cold in front of anyone. Only when facing that bunch of people from the world group would he be slightly gentler. But Chapter 4683. It must be that slut who seduced Brother Ian. The woman clenched her teeth tightly as she was filled with resentment. Just as she was about to open her mouth to let others notice her, standing not too far away, a certain powerhouse persuaded in a low voice, "Miss Profound Maiden, perhaps you have some misunderstanding towards Madame D. Based on Madame D's character, if she wants to do something, she will absolutely not conceal it, nor will she deny her own actions. Not to mention that Madame D has no interest in making a move against you. Even if she did, I'm afraid no one in the entire Earth domain would say a single word." That person paused for a moment as he continued in a ridiculing tone, "If Miss Profound Maiden doesn't want to embarrass yourself further, then it's best that you stop your own thoughts." Saying that, he left the woman's boundary. The woman was so infuriated that her face turned green and white. How could she not tell that person was ridiculing her? What was a small broken powerhouse? How dare she ridicule her, the dignified Ling Long Palace's Miss Profound Maiden? The woman was furious and annoyed. However, she didn't bother about the woman's interlude. Yiqing Luo and Qiao Yinyan stood side by side as they walked directly into the main hall. A group of people from various large powerhouses entered as well. Yiqing Luo's position was arranged next to City Lord Qiao. Dragged by City Lord Qiao, Yiqing Luo got to know quite a number of powerhouses' big shots. Yiqing Luo was then free. She slipped over to her own brother's side. Ni Ruopan leaned forward with an obvious teasing smile on her face. "I heard that you've been eyed by Chu Zhishang earlier." The group of brothers came later, so they missed the wonderful scene just now. Yiqing Luo's slender brows rose as she knew that the Chu Zhishang she mentioned should be referring to that Miss Profound Maiden. "Have you realized how hateful that Chu Zhishang is?" Beiming Lulu also leaned over as her lips twitched with a look of disdain, always relying on her identity as Ling Long Palace's miss to act high and mighty in front of us. Sigh, if it wasn't for the Earth domain, I wouldn't put up with that temper of hers. The World Group's members had a rather deep grudge towards that Miss Profound Maiden. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled as her gaze fell onto Qiao Yinyan as she gave a teasing smile. "That Chu Zhishang should like Yinyan, right? Right. Big Brother Ian is always chasing behind young Master Qiao." Ni Rupin rolled her eyes. Everyone can tell that Shadow is the only one in young Master Qiao's heart. Qiao Yinyan sighed helplessly when he heard their teasing. "I don't want to be bothered by that kind of person either. If she comes looking for me, I'll have to explain everything to Ying. The group of people laughed even louder. Yiqing Luo sat by Qiao Yinyan's side and took a look at the silent little Lolita who was gnawing on her steamed bun in the crowd. "You and Shadow, what's the progress now?" Even Qiao Yinyan had gone to the Nirvana realm for the sake of Shadow. The Shadow was in a state of lacking a soul. Then he should have been moved, right? Qiao Yinyan shook his head. The expression on his handsome face was very indifferent, but Yiqing Luo could see his tenderness towards the Shadow from his brows. "She still can't remember me, but it doesn't matter. I can wait for her." Yiqing Luo patted his shoulder. "Actually, it's not bad to let her fall in love with you once again." Qiao Yinyan laughed lightly but didn't reply. "The both of you, it's better not to put your arms around each other's shoulders. Look at that pair of eyes, I reckon they have the heart to tear you into pieces." Ni Rupin came over and knocked into Yiqing Luo, reminding her with her peripheral vision. Following Ni Rupin's line of sight, Yiqing Luo saw a seat outside the crowd. "Miss Profound who was also Chu Zhishang, sat there, looking at their direction with a venomous gaze. Dear, this chapter has ended, I wish you a happy reading. Big smiley face. Chapter 4684. Evidently, he had treated Yiqing Luo as his love rival. That stance, Yiqing Luo felt that, if it wasn't for the fact that the occasion wasn't right, Chu Zhishang would probably rush up and tear her apart. This was not an exaggeration. Yiqing Luo glanced at Qiao Yinyan. What young Master Qiao likes is obviously the shadow. If she wants to tear something, it should be the shadow, right? Tear her apart. She was just a newbie who had just arrived in the Earth domain. Ni Rupin shook her finger. No, no, no. In Chu Zhishang's eyes, shadow is just a puppet without a soul, and she looks like a little lowly. No matter how gentle and considerate young Master Qiao is to shadow, Chu Zhishang doesn't feel threatened. You mean, I'm a bigger threat to her? Yiqing Luo touched her own face and sighed. I'm a femme fatale, you can blame me for being beautiful. The surrounding brothers of the world group couldn't help but laugh. Yes, 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 whether you look good or not, you have the final say. This was also a rare moment of relaxation and joy in the midst of a dangerous battle. The atmosphere there was quite good. Meanwhile, Qiao Yinyan was fighting with the others. The more Chu Zhishang watched, the more annoyed she became. Ever since Yiqing Luo arrived, the attitude of the people in the Earth domain towards her had obviously changed. It was completely different from the respect he had shown before. Furthermore, because of what had happened at the entrance, most of the people looked at her with mocking gazes. On what basis could Yiqing Luo be the center of attention? As for her, she was the laughing stock of everyone. It was clear that during this period of time when the Earth realm and the Heaven realm were at war, she was the one who led the people of Linglong Palace to help. She was sacrificing for the sake of the Earth domain. As for Yiqing Luo, she did nothing at all. Why? Just because she was the woman the Overlord had chosen. This isn't fair. Chu Zhishang was hysterical in her heart. However, he did not dare to make a sound. The resentment in his heart was unbearable. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists and suddenly picked up the wine on the table, stood up and walked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Earlier the grudge between Chu Zhishang and Yiqing Luo, almost everyone present had a rough understanding of it. Looking at Chu Zhishang walking towards Yiqing Luo. For a moment, the entire main hall fell into silence. His eyes were fixed on Chu Zhishang. Empyrean goddess, what are you doing? This is Madame D's welcoming banquet. Don't mess around. The expressions of many faction leaders changed slightly, and they wanted to step forward to stop them. Chu Zhishang raised her chin slightly, revealing her slender and white neck. I just wanted to have a drink with the Emperor's wife to resolve the misunderstanding just now. She curled her red lips into a mocking smile. Could it be that the Emperor lady is so petty that she won't even give me a chance to apologize? The lady's beautiful eyes rested on Qiao Yinyan's face for a long time before slowly shifting to Yiqing Luo. There was an obvious provocation in his eyes. Her fair little hand held onto that wine glass as she raised it slightly towards Yiqing Luo. Imperial Madam, please. Everyone had different expressions on their faces. They could not guess what Chu Zhishang was planning. However, given the current situation, it was not appropriate for him to stop them. What if Chu Zhishang really wanted to resolve the misunderstanding with Di Furen? But at this moment, the noble and elegant girl in red lazily lifted her eyelids. There was not the slightest bit of emotion in her beautiful eyes. It was very cold and indifferent. I'm sorry, I'm just that petty. Her languid and quiet voice was filled with some sarcasm. The girl's eyes were also full of ridicule, so, please get lost. Pfft. At such a young age, she dared to play tricks in front of her. This book came from Chapter 4685. Did she look like someone who would play her cards according to the script? Yi Qing Luo replied, "Heh, heh." Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. She had not expected Yi Qing Luo to express her disgust towards her so straightforwardly. Her expression was awkward as she pursed her lips tightly and found her voice after some time. I just... Stop you. Yi Qing Luo interrupted her words. I'm not interested in you. Don't come near me and I'll ignore you. It's very simple. She spread out her hands and shrugged. It was obviously a very vulgar action. But when the young lady did it, it was very noble and elegant. Especially the posture between her brows, it was disdainful. It made Chu Zhishang feel that she was like a lowly ant, like a clown, jumping around in front of the young lady. But the young lady totally didn't treat her as anything. This feeling of being looked down upon made Chu Zhishang's slender fingers clenched even tighter. Her exquisite face was slightly distorted. And because Qiao Yinyan was watching from the side and suppressing the distortion in her heart, Yi Qing Luo slowly put down the wine glass. Her fair and slender fingertips lightly knocked on the table. Then she looked up at Chu Zhishang with a smile and said word by word, "Ling Long Palace's profound miss. Hold on to your current identity and be quiet. Don't let yourself fall into an embarrassing situation." Chu Zhishang's face flushed red as her fingertips clenched the wine glass tightly. Her brows were covered with a layer of viciousness. "Imperial Madam, I just want to toast you a glass of wine. Why must you be so overbearing? Don't tell me you're so arrogant and despotic just because the overlord is backing you up." She clenched her teeth tightly. "Profound miss." City Lord Qiao stood up with a bam as he stared at Chu Zhishang with an ugly expression. "Step down." Chu Zhishang raised her chin as her eyes were filled with viciousness. "Don't tell me what I said is the truth. After all, Imperial Madam is just a lady who relied on the overlord to climb to this position. If Imperial Madam is really as miraculous as what City Lord said, why not let Imperial Madam lead the team for tomorrow's battle and let this profound miss see what she's capable of?" Chu Zhishang had obviously given up. Every single word and sentence was pressing. "Mystic Fairy, if you continue to pester me endlessly, don't blame me for chasing you out." City Governor Qiao was also annoyed. He stood up and shouted, "Guards!" Soon, 2 soldiers rushed in. When City Lord Qiao opened his mouth, Yi Qing Luo stood up leisurely. Her fiery red dress was like a flowing cloud, spreading out flames of joy. It also stopped City Lord Qiao from speaking. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled. There was a slight ripple in her long and narrow eyes. She looked at Chu Zhishang with a smile, and her voice was lazy and calm. "You want to propose a toast, so I have to say yes. Who do you think you are?" The last word was "n." It was as if it could cause cardiac arrest. "You're right about one thing." The girl's smile deepened, and her eyes revealed a strong sense of mockery. "I am relying on Xian's support." Looking at Chu Zhishang's face that alternated between green and white, she smiled even more viciously. "What? Are you jealous? But you're jealous. You can't even find someone who's willing to support you. You're shameless." Chu Zhishang was angry and annoyed, extremely embarrassed and resentful. Yi Qing Luo continued to smile. "You say it as if you're very shameless." Chu Zhishang took a deep breath and took a step back. On her embarrassed face, an unresigned and stubborn expression surfaced. This book came from. Then, with that kind of emotion, he looked at Chu Zhishang indifferently. "Does Empyrean Fairy know that what you are doing now, in the words of our Nirvana realm, is called treason with the enemy?" The arc on Yi Qing Luo's lips was very shallow and her voice was faint and calm. Chu Zhishang bit her lips. You forced me to do this. Treason with the enemy, to us, is considered as a traitor. Traitor's ending is usually very tragic. Yiqing Luo leaned forward slightly. Her little hand pressed on the table in front of her as she looked at her with a smile. Has Empyrean Fairy made up her mind to become a traitor? That smile. It fell into Chu Zhishang's eyes. Like a sharp blade, it pierced into her eyes. Chu Zhishang's hand shook. She refused to admit defeat and continued, yes. If you don't apologize for what happened earlier, this mysterious fairy will seek refuge with Heaven Realm. This book came from Chapter 4687. In the end, he gritted his teeth and added, if the land suffers another heavy blow, you will be the main culprit. Yiqing Luo replied with an, oh, mysterious maiden thinks so highly of yourself. Chu Zhishang blushed and said coldly, you know nothing about the war between the land and the God realm. Of course, you don't know how important I am to the land. Yiqing Luo nodded her head thoughtfully, but I feel that mysterious maiden is totally useless in this battle. Soon after, she smiled and said in a clear voice, then, take care. I won't send you off. Chu Zhishang's face was full of embarrassment and anger. She looked around angrily. Are you just going to let her mess around here? City Lord Qiao, shouldn't you say something? But, no one answered her. No one opened their mouth to say a word. Chu Zhishang's delicate body trembled slightly. Good. You better not regret it. Yiqing Luo replied with a smile, mysterious maiden shouldn't regret it. Chu Zhishang was furious. She flicked her sleeves and turned to leave. When she reached the door, she deliberately paused. However, he didn't hear any words of persuasion. She gritted her teeth and stomped out of the room. It was not until Chu Zhishang walked far away that someone asked in a trembling voice, Imperial Madam, are you really letting her leave just like that? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she looked at that person. Can't bear to. If you can't bear to, then go after her. No. That person paled in fright. I'm just worried that if the Earth Realm loses the support of the Linglong Palace, it will. Who said that the Earth Realm would lose the Linglong Palace? Yiqing Luo interrupted that person's words. That person was startled. Even the surrounding people were stunned. The young girl's eyes were calm, without a single ripple. A mysterious fairy wants to control the Linglong Palace. Aren't you afraid of bursting? Her lips curled into a smile. Between his brows, there was confidence and arrogance. Don't worry, everyone. The Linglong Palace won't leave. Only Chu Zhishang will leave. Everyone looked at each other. Could it be, had the imperial lady already taken over the Linglong Palace without anyone noticing? Was that why he was so confident? However, there was nothing wrong with what the emperor lady said. The crowd did not pursue the matter any further. Although he believed Yiqing Luo's words, but he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. Qiao Yinyan took a look at Yiqing Luo. Linglong Palace Hall, if they don't want to kill you the moment they see you, would they still listen to you? Yiqing Luo touched her own face. Being beautiful means that you can do whatever you want. They are all addicted to my peerless beauty, so they listen to me. Qiao Yinyan, everyone in the world group, compared to the nervousness in the hearts of the people from the major forces, they were very relaxed and satisfied. Because they knew that Yiqing Luo wouldn't make meaningless guarantees. Yiqing Luo got up and hooked her finger at them. How about it? Want to follow along to watch the show? Look at the scene where Chu Zhishang was slapped in the face. Chu Zhishang walked towards her courtyard in shame and indignation. Because the Linglong Palace Hall was filled with women, it was not convenient for them to live together with a group of burly men. City Lord Qiao gave them a courtyard to stay in. During this great battle, to be able to have a courtyard on its own was already considered as a luxury. Because of this, Chu Zhishang had always felt that her status among the forces in the earth domain was extraordinary. She walked into the courtyard and looked at the disciples who were training in the courtyard as she shouted sternly, "From today onwards, we will no longer help the earth domain." This book came from Chapter 4688. The disciples who were training immediately stopped what they were doing. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists, her eyes cold. "Since they don't need the help of our Linglong Palace, we will let them know that losing our Linglong Palace is their biggest loss." There were about 100 people in the courtyard. They were all standing in the same place, looking at Chu Zhishang without blinking. Someone wanted to say something, but Chu Zhishang interrupted. However, she was interrupted by Chu Zhishang again. "That slut. She only relied on the Dizun's favor to strut around in front of me. Does she know that without me and the Linglong Palace, the Earth realm would have been defeated a long time ago? Now, I will bring you to help the Heaven realm. With our strength, as long as the Heaven realm wins the war, we will definitely be able to enter the Heaven realm and become its people." Chu Zhishang was already thinking about her future. Her face was full of distortion. "That bitch, sooner or later, I will make her kneel and beg me to come back." After saying that, Chu Zhishang flicked her sleeves and strode towards her room. "Pack your things and leave the earth realm with me." The disciples of Linglong Palace, they looked at each other, but stood still and did not move. After about half an hour, Chu Zhishang walked out with 2 packages. She casually threw the packages to the disciple closest to her. The disciple hurriedly caught the packages and looked at her with a strange expression. Chu Zhishang looked at the 100 people still standing in the courtyard and her face darkened. "What are you still doing here? Didn't you hear what I said?" However, the crowd still did not move. Chu Zhishang frowned and had an ominous premonition. "What do you mean? You don't want to leave with me?" Everyone was silent. Chu Zhishang's face was ferocious, and her eyes were cold. "Don't forget that you are from the Linglong Palace. Now, I am the only one left in charge of the Linglong Palace. Do you want to betray the Linglong Palace?" The hundreds of disciples looked at each other in dismay. Then, someone said, "It is because we do not want to betray Linglong Palace that we cannot leave the earth realm." "What do you mean?" Chu Zhishang clenched her fists and vaguely guessed something. "This mysterious fairy is the mysterious fairy of Linglong Palace. The others are all fake." The disciple of the Linglong Palace shook his head. "Lady Mystic Fairy, we have received orders from the headquarters of the Linglong Palace to defend the Earth Domain and fight alongside City Lord Qiao to protect the Earth Domain." She paused and asked tentatively, "Didn't Miss Mystic Fairy receive this news?" Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. "It must be Yi Qing Luo, that slut who is scheming against me. You've all been cheated." "What headquarters orders? Linglong Palace doesn't have any headquarters at all. There's no one who can manage Linglong Palace." "But Lady Mystic Maiden, didn't you say before that you would bring us to the Linglong Palace's headquarters to rescue the Linglong Palace's hallmaster?" The expressions of the Linglong Palace's disciples also changed, and their eyes were filled with suspicion. Chu Zhishang's heart shuddered as she pursed her lips tightly and shook her head. No, the news you received must be Yi Qing Luo's scheme, that is absolutely not from Linglong Palace's headquarters." The disciple of the Linglong Palace took out a wooden token from his bosom with a cold expression. On the wooden plaque, there was an obvious symbol of the Linglong Palace. Moreover, it was the symbol of the Linglong Palace's hallmaster. In the entire Linglong Palace, no one could fake it. Chu Zhishang stared at that wooden plaque as her face turned pale. She shook her head as she kept mumbling, "No. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Tomorrow I need to bring Chi for vaccination. Mother doesn't allow me to stay up late at night. Update one chapter and apply for a day's leave. Rest for a while and adjust the update time, so as to not need the anti-theft chapter in future. End of this chapter. Watch start Zue new chapter section. Please arrive Tang Cook Company, mobile address. Chapter 4689. Lady Mystic Fairy, why didn't you receive any orders from the headquarters of the Linglong Palace? Someone asked. Chu Zhishang's mind was a mess. His scarlet eyes glared angrily at the people in front of him. This is definitely fake. I am the rightful ruler of the Linglong Palace. Everyone looked at Chu Zhishang, who was obviously on the verge of madness, and frowned. Lady Mystic Fairy, no one can fake the symbol of the Linglong Palace Lord. Why are you so sure that it is fake? If Lady Mystic Fairy can't give us a reasonable explanation, how can we trust you? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists. Her sinister and scarlet eyes faintly flashed a cold light. That's because the headquarters of the Nimble Palace is no more. Chu Zhishang's words caused the disciples of the Linglong Palace to have different expressions. Arrogant justice brought that imperial madam, that slut Yi Qing Luo, to the Linglong Palace headquarters, and the entire headquarters was destroyed in Yi Qing Luo's hands. Yi Qing Luo killed the lord of Linglong Palace and destroyed their headquarters. It must be Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo snatched the Linglong Palace lord's seal. You pretended to be the headquarters of the Linglong Palace and gave orders to you. Chu Zhishang no longer concealed the news from the headquarters. Even if she, the Empyrean Fairy, had deceived the disciples of the Linglong Palace. However, her identity as the Empyrean Fairy was genuine and could not be faked. She was much more noble than that impostor Yi Qing Luo. Chu Zhishang's face was distorted as she looked at the disciples mockingly. Are you going to listen to a person who killed the Lord and betray me, the mysterious fairy of the Linglong Palace? She questioned him word by word, as if victory was already in her grasp. The disciples' expressions froze slightly, as if they were pondering over the truth of her words. Now, I'm going to leave the earth realm and head to the heaven realm. Are you going to choose to believe a liar or leave with me? Chu Zhishang strode to the disciple on the side, snatched the 2 parcels, and walked forward. Her back was very straight. It was as if he had a clear conscience. However, until she reached the entrance of the courtyard, there was no sound of footsteps behind her. No one chose to leave with her. No one. How was this possible? Chu Zhishang turned her head in disbelief, and the look of victory suddenly disappeared. She widened her eyes and stared fixedly at the hundreds of motionless disciples behind her. All of you want to betray Linglong Palace. Good. The Linglong Palace nurtured you for so long, and this is how you repay them. If the palace lord were to know of this in the underworld, he would definitely reprimand you for your heartlessness. It was a hysterical voice that sounded like a threat and an attempt to play the emotional card. The disciples were not shaken in the slightest. Chu Zhishang clenched her fists. She couldn't believe that these disciples had completely ignored her words. Paw. 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 A clapping sound could be heard. In this strange and silent atmosphere, it was especially clear to the ears. With a pale face, Chu Zhishang looked up in the direction of the sound. He saw a beautiful young lady dressed in blazing flames slowly walking over under the escort of the world group as well as Qiao Yinyan. Chu Zhishang's eyes, as if she had seen a mortal enemy, stared at Yi Qing Luo with resentment. It's you. You killed the palace lord, and even impersonated the Linglong Palace headquarters to give them orders. Yi Qing Luo, you're really vicious. Young Miss Chu, I'm afraid that until now, you still haven't figured out the situation right. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled slightly as she slowly walked towards her. Chapter 4690. Chu Zhishang's heart skipped a beat as she had an ominous premonition. Yi Qing Luo smiled sweetly as her long and narrow eyes were filled with splendor. Like a blooming rose, it's not important who killed the Linglong Palace Lord, what's important is. She raised her hand. The palm of her hand was a palm-sized Y. In the middle, it was carved with the unique symbol of the Linglong Palace. It was sparkling with a faint glow. Yiqing Luo smiled as she spoke word by word, "The management rights of the Linglong Palace is now in my hands." This was. Chu Zhishang was astonished as she went into a daze. As the Linglong Palace's mysterious maiden, how could she not recognize it? This wasn't the Linglong Palace Lord's Y. In the middle. But it was above the Linglong Palace Lord. That mysterious and powerful existence behind the Linglong Palace. The disciples of the Linglong Palace roughly knew that the existence of the Linglong Palace. Even the powerful Palace Lord was afraid of a deity. That person was the one who truly controlled the Linglong Palace. No matter who was elected as the Linglong Palace Lord or mysterious maiden, it all depended on the person behind the Linglong Palace. The Y in Yiqing Luo's hand. In the middle. Was that symbol which only the person behind the scenes of the Linglong Palace had. Chu Zhishang's face turned pale. She looked at the young lady in front of her in a daze. Following that, she clenched the bag tightly as she shook her head. "No. Impossible, how could you possibly get this Y? The center. You absolutely cannot be the person in charge of the Linglong Palace, you. This is all fake." Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up as she smiled sweetly, "Elegant and brilliant, I don't care if you think it's fake, as long as the disciples of the Linglong Palace know that this is real, that's enough." She threw the Y in her hand. Center, gently tossed it on her fingertips. That precious Y which made the disciples of the Linglong Palace envious. In the middle. Like a toy, Yiqing Luo was playing with it on her fingertips. Chu Zhishang's eyes followed that tossing and dropping Y. In the center, it swam back and forth. Her scarlet eyes were filled with agitation and craziness. "Yiqing Luo. This doesn't belong to you, return it to me. Give it back to me." Suddenly, as though she had gone mad, she dashed towards Yiqing Luo. He casually threw the package in his hand to the side. Her fingers were like an eagle's claws, speedily shooting towards the Y that Yiqing Luo had thrown up. The center struck. Yiqing Luo caught that took a few steps back. Very quickly, two Linglong Palace's disciples stood in front of Yiqing Luo and blocked Chu Zhishang's attack. Chu Zhishang looked at the two disciples in front of her, who usually listened to her, and now stood on the side of the enemy. She stared at the two disciples. "Now, you have made up your mind to betray me, the mysterious fairy, right?" Without waiting for the two disciples to speak, the girl's leisurely voice could be heard. After all, who would dare to believe a liar's words? They are smart people. How could they betray the Linglong Palace for a swindler? This sentence was strangely familiar. Chu Zhishang was stunned for a while before she remembered. Wasn't that what she said to the Linglong Palace's disciples just now? Wasn't that what she said to the Linglong Palace's disciples earlier? Today, the person in charge of the Linglong Palace is me. Yiqing Luo laughed softly, as her fingertips lazily touched her lower lip, as she opened her mouth. Earlier Miss Chu had already spoken very righteously, wanting to break away from the boundary, so I shall grant Miss Chu your wish. Her voice paused slightly. Her fingertips held on to the Y. In the middle. Chapter 4691. As the person in charge of Linglong Palace, I give a new order. Remove Chu Zhishang from the position of mysterious maiden and chase her out of Linglong Palace. From today onwards, Chu Zhishang is no longer a member of Linglong Palace. Clear words, one after another, were transmitted into Chu Zhishang's ears. Chu Zhishang's expression congealed. "You can't do that. I am the mysterious maiden chosen by the palace lord, you don't have this right. Yi Qing Luo's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled evilly. Unfortunately, I have this right. What a joke. The founder of Linglong Palace was the barbaric Bloodbone King. Since she came to the Earth realm, barbaric Bloodbone King used the excuse of investigating something and left. He left a few things for her. This seal was one of them. She didn't think so much at that time. If it wasn't for the fact that Chu Zhishang put her face forward for her to slap, she probably didn't expect that Linglong Palace could be used. Barbaric Bloodbone King handed Linglong Palace to her. She naturally had to discipline these disciples on behalf of barbaric Bloodbone King. The first thing was to sweep away those who had ulterior motives. It was annoying to see. Chase them away. Power was willful. How would Chu Zhishang let it go? But the next moment, Yi Qing Luo waved her hand and asked the Linglong Palace's disciples to carry her out. They also picked up the bag which she threw aside and threw it out of the safety zone with Qiao residence as the center. Chu Zhishang was mercilessly thrown out of the city by her former subordinates. Until she sat down on the ground. Chu Zhishang had yet to regain her senses. She was chased out of the Earth realm. She actually was really chased out of the Earth realm. And it was only her who was chased out of the Earth realm. In her imagination, she led the Linglong Palace's troops out of the Earth realm and waited for City Lord Qiao to beg softly and so on. It was totally different from now. Her Linglong Palace's troops had betrayed her. What could she do alone in this battle? She had no capital to negotiate. How would the heaven realm agree to her request? Chu Zhishang clenched her fists, her eyes were horrified and her face twisted with horror. She gritted her teeth and spat out 3 words, Yi Qing Luo. Her expression was malevolent as she clenched her teeth and screamed hysterically towards Qiao residence, Yi Qing Luo, I will not let you off so easily. Absolutely not. In the Qiao mansion. The sky was filled with Chu Zhishang's resentful roar. Qiao Yinyan cast a sidelong glance at Yi Qing Luo. This is the good show you were talking about? Ni Ruopan leaned forward. Madam Qing Luo, aren't you worried that she would really do something just to deal with you? Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes were frivolous as she looked at the direction where Chu Zhishang left with a smile that didn't look like a smile. A dim light flashed across his eyes. This is exactly what I wanted. What the hell are you planning? Those who understood Yi Qing Luo would know that the current Yi Qing Luo was definitely scheming something. Yi Qing Luo shook her finger. If I tell you, wouldn't it be meaningless? Qiao Yinyan raised his eyebrows, his handsome face revealed a teasing smile. Don't underestimate the power of a woman's hatred. It's very easy to capsize accidentally. Yi Qing Luo's gaze swept past Mo Yuing. Her voice was frivolous as she spoke with a smile. Looks like young Master Qiao is quite familiar with women. I wonder how much of the power of hatred from women has young Master Qiao experienced. Qiao Yinyan. How could such words be spoken so casually? He still had to explain to the shadow. Chapter 4692. Chu Zhishang's episode didn't affect the world group's joy of reunion. That night, the group of them stayed in the courtyard, discussing about their own matters. As for the second day, they didn't sleep at all. So they started their morning training. Apparently, training had become their daily compulsory course. Making training into a habit. No matter how strong they were, they would ensure the most basic training every day. This would be of great help to their cultivation. Yi Qing Luo accompanied them to train for 2 hours. City Lord Qiao sent someone to invite her for breakfast. He came to look for her early in the morning. Naturally, it wasn't as simple as having breakfast. Definitely. It was for the war between the 2 realms. She didn't mention it yesterday because she knew that their brotherly relationship was deep and it was rare for them to meet again, so she gave them the time to reunite. But, in the midst of the war, time was really too precious. Yiqing Luo followed the soldiers to City Lord Qiao's place. She saw a big round table with a pot of thin porridge and a plate of white steamed buns. A few burly men sat beside City Lord Qiao. Yiqing Luo had met them last night and knew them. They were the leaders of the few remaining large factions in the land. Yiqing Luo's gaze fell on the leftmost, a figure who wasn't considered familiar but not foreign either. Her gaze met that person's gaze for too long. It attracted City Lord Qiao's attention. City Lord Qiao looked at the both of them as he smiled. Madame D and the acting group leader of the blood mercenary group know each other. Yiqing Luo's lips curled slightly, yes. Her gaze fell onto that person as she smiled faintly. Vice Group Leader Bo, how have you been? That person was the Vice Group Leader of the blood mercenary group. He was the Vice Group Leader who admired Gu Zishi. The blood mercenary group's power was represented by Bo Songyi. Su Qingbing still hadn't returned from the heaven realm. Was it because of Zhu Wuxan? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she slowly walked to Bo Songyi's side and sat down. Very quickly, someone sent over a set of clean bowls and chopsticks. Madame D. Bo Songyi's eyes sunk as he pursed his lips tightly and stared at Yiqing Luo. I have a personal question to ask you. Can you answer it? Is it regarding group leader Su, or Zishi's matter? Yiqing Luo filled a bowl of porridge as she replied. Bo Songyi's face stiffened. The gazes of the leaders of the major factions were all focused on him. He opened his mouth but couldn't utter a single word. Yiqing Luo understood. Bo Songyi obviously wanted to ask about Gu Zishi. He didn't think about his regiment commander at all. She asked this question. If he really answered Gu Zishi's question, it would definitely cause the leaders of those factions to be biased against him. After all, those who wanted to achieve great things couldn't be restricted by love. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. If you ask group leader Su, I've met her once in the heaven realm, but I don't know where she is now. If you ask Zishi. Her long and narrow eyes flickered slightly, and her smile became a little more charming. She and Xing are very close. After the war, we can invite the bloody mercenaries to our wedding. Her answer solved Bo Songyi's problem very well. However, his words were filled with a strong sense of warning. Bo Songyi's pupils constricted. He slowly looked away and said calmly, "Thank you for telling me." Yiqing Luo sat beside him. She could clearly see his fingers which were slightly curled up under the table. Yiqing Luo sighed silently in her heart. Trouble, trouble. Just hearing about Zishi and Xing's relationship and his reaction was so huge. When he met the two of them later, wouldn't he be Zhao? Chapter 4693. After Bo Songyi responded to Yiqing Luo's words, he lowered his head and didn't say a word. City Lord Qiao directly explained the reason why he asked Yiqing Luo to come over. This battle with the heaven realm, the earth realm will be in grave danger. I wonder if everyone has any brilliant ideas to deal with the heaven realm. City Lord Qiao asked everyone, but in reality, everyone present understood. This question was only asked to Yiqing Luo alone. If they had a way. If he had revealed the method at the start of the battle, he wouldn't have waited until now. Yiqing Luo's eyes congealed slightly as she placed the spoon in the bowl and looked at City Lord Qiao. Heaven Realm's motive is to invade the land. She paused for a moment, and under the solemn gazes of the others, she said word by word, its final objective is to unify the three realms and become the true ruler of the world. When Yiqing Luo's words ended, everyone's expression changed drastically. All of them looked at Yiqing Luo in disbelief. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Unify the three realms. Control the world. Are you sure you're not joking? The three realms had always maintained peace, and there had never been any conflicts between them. It had always been a peaceful era. How could anyone have such a ridiculous idea? On the surface, the one leading the war in Heaven Realm is the Ren family, one of the four great families in Heaven Realm. But in reality, the so-called Ren family is just an empty shell. Yiqing Luo knew that they wouldn't believe her so easily and explained slowly. She briefly explained the cooperation between the Ren family and the Palace of Gloomy Darkness. Everyone who heard this was stunned, and they were unable to come back to their senses. Wait. You're saying that the current head of the Ren family is dead? A faction master raised a question. But, the heaven is led by the Ren family, and they are gradually conquering the land. If the head of the Ren family died, the Ren family was without a leader. How were they going to lead the various forces of the Heaven Realm to attack the Earth Realm? On the surface, the head of the Ren family, Ren Jianying, is dead, but the real person in charge of the Ren family is not Ren Jianying. Yiqing Luo explained, no matter if it's invading the Earth Realm or controlling the three realms, all of these are because of Palace of Darkness ambition. Gloomy Palace. This wasn't the first time the people from the major forces had heard of this. Some leaders frowned and said worriedly, what is the background of that dark nether palace? It feels like it appeared out of thin air. After appearing out of thin air, with the fastest speed, he swept away their knowledge. Back then, it had almost destroyed the entire Earth domain. Just where did this come from? Yiqing Luo's eyes congealed slightly. The identity of the person behind the Palace of Darkness, or the information given by the Hell Palace. Before it was confirmed, she couldn't tell anyone, to avoid disturbing the hearts of the crowd. And, most importantly, whenever the divine realm was mentioned, this matter had something to do with the God world. The minds of the crowd would not be as pure as they were now. The Earth Realm's overall ability is indeed not as good as Heaven Realm. Adding on to the fact that Heaven Realm has the secluded palace's interference, it would indeed be troublesome to deal with them. Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she analyzed the current situation for everyone. As someone who had just returned from the Heaven Realm, she had the most right to speak. Their expressions suddenly changed. Then, could it be that the land can only obediently surrender? It's impossible for me to pledge allegiance, not even in this lifetime. Yiqing Luo raised a finger and shook it. The Earth Realm will always be the Earth Realm, and will never merge with other realms. The three realms will always be a single entity. Chapter 46-94. The reason why the realms were divided according to the disparity in strength was that the realms were divided into different levels. It was to maintain order in the world. In the world, there were strong and weak, high and low. That was normal. If all the realms fused together, the Nirvana realm could not catch up to the Earth realm. The Earth realm could not catch up to the Heaven realm. Above the heavenly realm, there was still the divine realm. After the disparity in strength was too great, the law of the jungle, the weak would soon be eliminated. Then what? Then, what was left of this world? Only the experts from the divine world or the Heaven realm were left. If the Palace of Gloomy Darkness wanted to create the most powerful world, however, as mentioned earlier, there were strong and weak people in the world. No one could be invincible. In the end, someone will catch up to you from behind and replace your existence. When the entire world was left with nothing but endless slaughter, what was the point? The people behind the scenes of the Gloomy Palace only thought about their own benefits. They never thought about the outcome of controlling the world. Based on the current situation, it is indeed difficult for the land to hold on for more than a few days. City Lord Xiao had a troubled look on his face. Right now, most of the forces in the Earth domain are willing to fight alongside the Earth domain. However, as the battle becomes more intense, coupled with the disparity in strength between the Earth domain and the Heaven domain, the Earth domain is increasingly losing. He paused for a moment. There are still many large forces that have yet to participate in the war. The situation of the battle was getting more and more dangerous. On the Heaven realm side, the Ren family was currently leading the charge, killing everyone on the battlefield. He hadn't even seen the shadow of the Dark Palace. However, the Earth domain side was practically unable to send out anyone. That's right, that's right. If the Hell Palace, which everyone calls the lunatics, is willing to join the land, they will definitely be a great help to the land. Also, the former #1 family in Shadowless City, the Mu family, has no intention of joining the Earth domain. When the leaders of the factions mentioned the Mu family, their expressions were a little strange. Everyone knew. Back then Yiqing Luo and Mu family's young miss, who was also Shadowless City's mysterious maiden Mu Qiulan, had their hearts set on the Overlord and even put on an emotional drama with the fake Overlord. At that time, he even became the laughing stock of the three main cities. After the Qiao family unified the three main cities. Because of the relationship between the Qiao family and Yiqing Luo, the Mu family didn't give City Lord Qiao any face. He had no intention of submitting either. At that time, there was no great battle. City Lord Qiao didn't mind. Who would have thought that after the battle began, although the Mu family did not say that they would help the Heaven realm. However, he did not help the land either. It was just like how the Underworld Palace looked on with folded arms, as if it had nothing to do with them. The Underworld Palace's side was filled with a bunch of fighting lunatics. If the Underworld Palace was willing to lend a hand, the combat power of the land domain would definitely be greatly improved. The Heaven realm would definitely not be able to gain any advantage. As for the Mu family, the Mu family's influence in the land domain was not particularly large. However, the Mu family was still the #1 family in Shadowless City. It was not only because of the Empyrean fairy chosen by the Linglong Palace. Rather, it was because the Mu clan was proficient in the art of divination and setting up formations. If the Mu family can help, this would definitely be able to destroy most of the forces in the heaven and allow the land to defend for a longer period of time. I know. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk. Old Lai had made it very clear on the Underworld Palace's side. Even if it was for the sake of his brothers in the Underworld Palace. The Underworld Palace would not participate in this war either. As for the Mu family, Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes slightly as a faint cold glint leaked out from the bottom of her eyes. She pursed her lips. The war now is indeed not friendly to the land domain. Chapter 4695. If the Earth realm's defense line is breached by Heaven realm, Qiao family, as well as the Earth realm's forces will swiftly collapse. This was the reason why Heaven realm kept on launching attacks. They wanted to take advantage of the situation to break through the Earth realm's defense line. Everyone present naturally understood this in their hearts. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, City Lord Qiao's expression turned solemn. What brilliant idea does Imperial Madam have? Yiqing Luo's fair wrist propped up as her slender fingers gently touched her chin. She gently curved her lower lip, and her long and narrow eyes were filled with a brilliant light. I've already made the first move. The next step is to see if the chess pieces are able to follow the steps that I have planned and place the pieces. The few of them looked at each other in dismay as they didn't understand what she meant. Seeing that Yiqing Luo had no intention to say more, City Lord Qiao didn't pursue further as he stood up. Since Imperial Madam is free to make the arrangements, I shall wait for your good news. If there's anything you need help with, please feel free to instruct me. The battle between the Earth realm and Heaven realm had never stopped. The battle was getting more and more anxious. Both parties were locked in a fierce battle. Yiqing Luo asked the world group to lead a portion of the soldiers to provide support. After that, she left the Qiao residence alone. One force's leader stared at the direction where Yiqing Luo left as he asked solemnly, "City Lord Qiao, can Imperial Madam really turn the situation around? Has she already thought of a plan, or is she afraid?" The other force's leaders had a complicated expression. Back then the Earth realm was almost annihilated because of secluded Darkness Palace, and it was Yiqing Luo who saved the people of the Earth realm. This news was known to the entire Earth realm. But they had never seen Yiqing Luo's true ability. Moreover, Yiqing Luo was Dmo Xian's woman. No matter if it was in the past or present. As long as the lady was slightly stronger. In the outsider's mouths or thoughts, there would always be some strange thoughts. Especially a beautiful lady. And she even had a fiancé who was invincible in the world. Yiqing Luo was strong. Was she strong herself? Or did she rely on the overlord? They had some suspicions in their hearts. One couldn't blame these forces' leaders for thinking this way. If Yiqing Luo was really as powerful as the rumors said, and was hailed as war god. The war between the earth and the heaven was so dangerous. He should at least go to the battlefield and kill a few people from the heaven, right? But she didn't even go to the battlefield. He only ordered the world group to rush over. What difference did it make if she was here or not? She couldn't be hiding by herself, could she? City Lord Qiao's gaze was sharp as he stopped those people from speaking. Madame D has her own plans. You don't need to ask or think too much. Just think of a way to deal with the heaven realm. The leaders of the various factions were gagged and shut their mouths. But in his heart, he was obviously not convinced. Yiqing Luo sat on Qi and ran straight to the Mu family. She had no intention of persuading the underworld palace. As for the Mu family, a cold light flashed across her long and narrow eyes, which seemed to have a deeper meaning. Qi was very fast. They passed through the main city and arrived at the former shadowless city. The Mu family was not difficult to find. The entire city was practically empty. Only the most luxurious courtyard in the center of the city was still occupied. Yiqing Luo flipped down from Qi-Qi's back. After recalling Mu Qi-Qi back into the pet space, she headed to the Mu family. He had just arrived at the door. Yiqing Luo was stopped in her tracks by a strong resistance. Old Man Tsang said in her mind, the reason why the Mu family is able to stay stable in the war is because the heaven realm is unable to invade the Mu family. Chapter 4696. The Mu family was good at Chiman Dun Jia. Array was just one of them. Yiqing Luo wasn't surprised that she would be blocked outside. She stood in front of the Mu family's door and took 2 steps back. She immediately raised her finger. The glower flame fan rolled up a profound wave and hit the invisible resistance. Boom! A loud sound rang out. Yiqing Luo could vaguely see a circle of ripples in the air. But her attack didn't enter the Mu family's residence. Instead, it was blocked out of thin air. Yiqing Luo kept the glower flame fan and stood aside. After a while, an old man walked out from the crowd. When he saw the person standing outside the enchantment, his face froze slightly. His fingertip pointed in the air. A circle of light was drawn. The old man walked out of the Mu family's residence. His eyes fell on Yiqing Luo, sizing her up, and slowly opened his mouth. Red God of War. Yiqing Luo. Dressed in red, devastatingly beautiful. A red fan could kill anything. Wasn't this the symbol of the Red God of War? Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly. Can I see the Mu family's patriarch? The old man hesitated for a moment. Wait for me to inform him. Yiqing Luo wasn't in a hurry. Not long after the old man left, he came over to invite Yi Qing Luo into the mansion. After Yi Qing Luo stepped into the Mu family's residence, the old man quickly repaired the array. He was afraid that a few burly men would suddenly appear behind Yi Qing Luo and forcibly rush into the Mu family's residence. But, until Yi Qing Luo stepped into the Mu family's residence, the old man didn't notice any dangerous aura around the Mu family's residence. Could it be, did the god of war in red really come to the Mu family alone? The old man brought Yi Qing Luo into the Mu family's residence with doubts, while reminding her not to wander around randomly. Luan touched. In the Mu family's residence, anything you bump into could be an array or other messy things. Yi Qing Luo followed behind the old man and didn't do anything else. Soon, Yi Qing Luo was led into a hole. Yi Qing Luo also met the current patriarch of the Mu family. Mu family's patriarch was about 50 years old, but his face was extremely healthy and didn't look old. When he saw Yi Qing Luo, his expression didn't look too good. Apparently he didn't want to see her. Madam D, are you here to invite me to join the Earth Domain's forces? Mu family's patriarch went straight to the point and didn't intend to chat with Yi Qing Luo. The smile on Yi Qing Luo's pink lips didn't diminish as she leisurely sat down on the chair by the side, smiling sweetly. Let's not talk about it for now. Yi Qing Luo's face. What do you want to do? Luo Qing Luo Mu family. Yi, I want to hear of Mu family's situation. Master Mu frowned. I'm not interested in this battle, and I don't have any interest in it. I'm afraid Madam D has come to the wrong place. Qing Qi of Tian the battle, of the Mu family's cities Mu family of the Qing's Tian clan's Luo lord. The only ones who clans Chang, is the Qiu. Qing city of, as for heaven realm, other than the Ren family and other forces, there are other hidden forces who haven't shown themselves. Even if the Mu family helps the Mu family, it won't be of much use. At most, it can only delay the invasion. The young lady's concise words made Mu family's patriarch's expression turn colder. His brows were almost knitted into a ball. He went straight to the point. But the young lady was more direct than him. What she said made Mu family's patriarch have an ominous premonition. Since you know it's useless, why are you here? Mu family's patriarch's voice was deep. The Earth Domain still has two major factions, the Hell Palace and the Mu family. Their attitudes are unclear. The reason why the Underworld Palace is able to remain unscathed is because they have a deal with the Palace of Gloomy Darkness. Yi Qing Luo's voice was faint. Suddenly her pink lips curled up, her brows seemed to reveal some coldness. Then, what about the Mu family? Patriarch Mu's face suddenly turned pale. Looking at Yi Qing Luo's gaze, it revealed some unknown gloominess. Yi Qing Luo continued, based on Heaven Realm's means, it's impossible to let the Mu family stay out of trouble. According to my understanding of the Palace of Gloomy Darkness, they will either be used by them, or they will get rid of all future troubles. But when I just came to the Mu family, in the radius of 1,000 miles, only the Mu family is safe and sound. This is not just relying on the Mu family's exclusive array, to be able to withstand the war. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips smiled even more. Her long and narrow eyes were overflowing with vibrant colors. Patriarch Mu, do you think I've guessed correctly? End of this chapter. Chapter 4698. Mu family's patriarch's face turned from white to black and then green. Finally, his expression returned to normal. His hands were behind his body as he faced Yi Qing Luo. The expression on his face was that of a high-ranking person. Imperial Madam is indeed smart, nothing can be hidden from Imperial Madam's eyes. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled slightly. Tell me, what consensus did Misty Palace and Mu family come to? Mu family's patriarch didn't reply but looked at Yi Qing Luo as his lips curled into an extremely faint cold arc. Imperial Madam knew that Mu family had already belonged to Misty Palace and came here alone. Did you really feel that other than the art of invisibility, Mu family doesn't know anything else? Yi Qing Luo's brows rose. What does Mu family patriarch mean? Imperial Madam came here alone. I admire your courage. Mu family's patriarch smiled, but Imperial Madam has belittled Mu family. He took a step back. Dozens of guards dressed in martial attire surrounded the entire hall like a swarm of bees. The young lady, who was surrounded by the crowd, raised her eyes slightly. Her long and enchanting eyes were cold and serene. However, they did not see the slightest bit of panic or astonishment on her face. Her lips curled up as she smiled calmly. Automatic refresh at 6 in the morning. 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 Grand Elder's face turned black as he didn't talk to him anymore. After Long Yunjian appeared, Yi Qing Luo's vision was fixed on him. Her eyes were sparkling like water as she stared at Long Yunjian without blinking. Ever since Ren Jianying mentioned Long Yunjian, she could still lie to herself. All these were fake. Ren Jianying intentionally mentioned it to agitate her. But now, Long Yunjian appeared personally. Personally said it out. He had indeed made use of her understanding of her to help Misty Palace. Only, Misty Palace didn't appreciate it. She snorted lightly, and a cold mocking expression flashed across her face. You're not allowed to look at him. A large palm covered her eyes. A man's displeased voice was heard, I'm very unhappy now. Earlier, Yi Qing Luo knew that Long Yunjian liked her. Now, Yi Qing Luo was still staring at Long Yunjian. Even if Dmo Xian knew that his wife had no feelings for Long Yunjian. But the moment Yi Qing Luo's gaze looked over, he was displeased. The young lady's long curly lashes slowly swept over Dmo Xian's palm. Her hand covered his large palm and slowly moved away. All right, I won't look anymore. Long Yunjian, didn't you want us to believe you? Fine, now, make a move on that woman and make me believe you. The great elder saw that the young couple was still kissing each other, and his expression immediately turned ugly. Long Yunjian did not say a word as he drew out the sword in his hand. The blue profound light shone brightly in the quiet night. He raised his long sword and walked towards Yi Qing Luo step by step. Seeing Long Yunjian's action, the first elder couldn't help but laugh out loud. This elder loves this kind of fratricide the most, ha ha ha. It was only during the day that Long Yunjian faced her with his sword. Now, Long Yunjian was once again holding on to that sword which had once protected the world group's brothers, pointing it at her. Even though she had many justifications for Long Yunjian in her heart, and had thought of numerous reasons for him. But when it came to this kind of situation. This chapter end viewing starting event Zue new chapter section please arrive Tang Ku shop, mobile address. Chapter 4699. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as her voice sounded seductive. That person who impersonated Ah Xian was sent by secluded palace. The people of Gloomy Palace plotted to get close to your daughter, took away her innocence, and played with her in the palm of their hands. With the way the Palace of Darkness does things, how do you think they will treat your daughter after spending so much effort and failing? Patriarch Mu's expression froze, and his eyes were a little gloomy. But he didn't waver because of Yi Qing Luo's words. Why should this patriarch believe you? Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly, just based on. I feel that you should love your daughter quite a lot. Patriarch Mu clenched his 5 fingers. Yi Qing Luo continued, Mu Qiulan's death might be related to me but in the end, it was secluded Darkness Palace who gave Mu Qiulan a huge hope, and then led her to do the wrong thing step by step. She slowly took out the seal of the highest representative of the Linglong Palace. I am now the new palace master of the Linglong Palace. The girl's voice was calm and serene. Due to the scheme of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows, the Palace of Linglong has been torn apart. The previous palace master begged me to avenge the Palace of Linglong and avenge the mysterious fairies of the Palace of Linglong. His face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't jump as he spouted nonsense with a straight face. The Mu family's patriarch stared blankly at the seal of the Linglong Palace in the young girl's palm. As the father of the Empyrean fairy, naturally, he understood the symbol of the Linglong Palace. But, how can you prove that what you said is true? Patriarch Mu was indeed shaken. Just like what Yi Qing Luo said. He did love his daughter. Mu Qiulan was the most outstanding child of the Mu family. Ever since he was young, he kept him by his side and carefully taught him. He was then sent to the Linglong Palace. In addition, if what Yi Qing Luo said was all true, this also meant that it was all thanks to the Palace of Darkness that the Mu family became a joke and ended up in such a situation. He still had to bend his knees and satisfy all the requests of the Dark Ghost Palace. Even those who still had a little bit of courage left. They probably wouldn't be able to endure such treatment. Yi Qing Luo's eyes were as calm as Mount Tai, based on Yi Qing Luo's identity. Her identity, Patriarch Mu was slightly stunned. He looked at the bright and flamboyant girl in front of him. The feeling in his heart was very complicated. Yi Qing Luo's identity. Not only Yi Qing Luo, the red-clothed war god who had once saved the land. She was also the fiancée of the Overlord, the future mistress of the Imperial Palace. Patriarch Mu's throat seemed to be choked by something. After a long while, he said bitterly, "Since I have already agreed to the conditions of the Palace of Darkness, I will not joke around with the lives of the Mu family." Chapter 4700. Patriarch Mu's face slightly froze. They followed the guards to the main hall. He saw that the young girl in the red dress had unknowingly appeared on the eaves of the Mu family's gate. The cold wind blew against her flame-like dress. Her black hair fluttered in the wind. With a smile and a frown, she was incomparably beautiful and bright. Mu family head, it's not that I'm looking down on the Mu family, it's you who's looking down on me. After saying that, the girl leaped up. It disappeared in the wind. The guards swarmed to give chase. Master Mu spoke up and stopped them. "Forget it, we can't catch up. The girl dares to come to the Mu family alone. How could he not have prepared a way out?" It was just as the girl had said. He underestimated her. They were totally unable to stop Yi Qing Luo. After Yi Qing Luo left the Mu family, she rushed towards the direction of the battlefield. She was not worried about Master Mu's choice. He didn't expect the Mu family's master to switch sides to the land. Of course, even if the Mu family changed sides, it would not have much of an effect on the current situation in the land. She just wanted to stop the Mu family master from helping the Palace of Darkness. Patriarch Mu was not a fool. After what she had just said, of course, he would think about it and think about it carefully. The Mu family head chose the Umbra Palace for the sake of everyone in the Mu family. It was enough to show that Patriarch Mu attached great importance to relationships. If Mu Qiulan had really died because of the Palace of Gloomy Shadows, then Mu Qiulan's ending. That would be the end of the Mu family. It didn't matter if the Mu family stood on the land domain side or if they helped the Netherworld Palace. After the war between the two planes ended, everyone in the Mu family will end up like Mu Qiulan. As long as Master Mu's brain wasn't damaged, he would never listen to the arrangements of the Palace of Darkness without any scruples. In this way, Yi Qing Luo's motive for coming to the Mu family had been achieved. The battlefield of the Heavenly Realm and the Earth Realm. The Earth Realm was aggressive and full of fighting spirit. It actually suppressed the Heavenly Realm by a notch. The arrogance of the earth realm grew stronger as they fought. It was as if he had suddenly found his backbone and became extremely resolute and fearless. After fighting for a while in the heaven realm, he could sense that the land was different. On the Ren family side, someone immediately went to the camp and reported the situation. A low, clear, and icy voice sounded from within the camp. The land faction is getting more and more courageous as the battle progresses. The representative of the Ren family shivered and knelt on the ground, not daring to respond. Soon, the curtains of the camp were pulled open by a slender hand. A tall figure shrouded in a mysterious black robe walked out. When that figure appeared, the surroundings had sunk into an icy cold. It was as if the air was covered in frost. Everyone in the heaven realm trembled as they held their breaths and knelt on the ground. It was obvious that he was extremely afraid of this black-robed man. "Ha, you're just a bunch of ants. No matter how much you jump, it's of no use." The black-robed man sneered, and his tone was cold and mocking. He waved his sleeve. A cold wind blew. Dense mysterious yin-chi slowly spread out. Soon after, a pitch-black shadow appeared in the mysterious yin-chi. The sudden appearance of this person was strange and frightening. The people in the heaven realm just took a glance and didn't dare to look up again. The group of ants in the earth realm struggling at death's door, no matter what backbone they have, just break it. The black-robed man sneered sinisterly. "Wu Chen, let those people feel what true despair is." That pitch-black shadow bowed slightly, yes. The black-robed man laughed sinisterly. And the person who was called Wu Chen, after responding, suddenly turned into a cloud of black smoke and disappeared in front of everyone. At the end of this chapter, watch start Zue new chapter section. Please arrive Tang Kushop, mobile address. Chapter 4701. On the battlefield, the battle cries were heard incessantly. The war drums thundered as the flames of war blazed continuously. Blood stained the ground. After the earth realm's morale rose, heaven realm gradually retreated. This retreat. The earth realm's morale rose. Kill. Defend our territory. The earth realm soldiers cried out deafeningly, as though it could shake the heavens and earth. The world group's brothers stood right in front of the battlefield, riding on their magical beasts as they looked towards the heaven realm side. Their brows were filled with determination. Everyone exchanged glances. All of them saw the same excitement in each other's eyes. It looked like no matter if it was the Nirvana realm or the earth realm, their Madame Qing Luo had always been their pillar of support. As long as Madame Qing Luo was around, even if she didn't do anything. However, it allowed everyone to charge forward without any hesitation. Because they believed in Yi Qing Luo. They believed that no matter what the outcome was, Yi Qing Luo would definitely create a miracle. Everyone in the world group had already formed a perverted worship towards Yi Qing Luo. No one could destroy their belief. Just as everyone was filled with confidence, preparing to take down the territory in one go. Heaven realm side suddenly cried out in shock. The heaven realm soldiers all revealed an ecstatic expression. The earth realm's people sensed that something was amiss. Immediately following that, they saw a pitch-black figure descending from the sky, standing right in the middle of the battlefield. What monster is that? No, something's wrong. That figure's body is filled with dense profound yin chi. So scary. I can't even see his face. The earth realm's people looked at the sudden appearance of the black figure as their eyes revealed an astonished expression. That figure was like an evil spirit which had crawled out from the darkness of hell. Extremely horrified. Especially when they saw that bunch of guards from heaven realm were filled with reverence and fear towards that black figure. The earth realm's people sensed that something was amiss. Following that, After that, black figure joined the battlefield. The entire battlefield indeed started to turn around. The Earth Realm soldiers whose morale had risen were instantly counterattacked by the Heaven Realm. Whereas the black figure's attacks were extremely vicious. It seemed as though it tore anyone it saw into shreds with its bare hands. His methods were sharp and vicious. Blood filled the sky as flesh and blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely horrifying. Moreover, the black figure totally didn't know fatigue. The moment he caught someone, he would tear them apart. Even the group of people from the Heaven Realm were frightened by this fierce battle method. They were both excited and afraid, not daring to approach the shadow.